Today's video, we'll be looking at a couple Hercules cards and the Plantronics ColorPlus.
We review old technology from games to old PCs, and don't forget the doors. Yeah, ancient electronics, we cover it all.
Alright, so I want to start off these videos with taking a look at these Hercules cards. Now, all the cards in the video today are not mine. They're actually given to me by a local vintage computer collector to actually test them. He doesn't have a CGA or a monochrome monitor or any kind of monitor that would work with these cards, so he loaned them to me so I could test them and just to see if they work. So I don't even have any idea if the cards in this video even work, so I guess we'll find out. But I thought this was a good opportunity to make a video because I do not have a Plantronics card and I actually have no Hercules cards, even though I'd love to pick one up one day, maybe to throw into my 5150. So yeah, these are the Hercules cards. LGR did a video just on these cards a while ago, a couple years ago now, and they're pretty cool. These work, I believe these only work with monochrome monitors. Something like the IBM monitor, which is actually the only monochrome monitor I currently have with me. So we'll be using that, the old IBM monochrome monitor. The 5151, I believe, is the model number for that monitor. These were meant to allow someone that only had a monochrome monitor, because they were extremely popular back in the 80s. This kind of card would allow you to display graphics on those, at least in shades of whatever color the monitor was. Most of them were like green phosphorus, but I believe there are also some white and amber. I know the amber ones were pretty popular, but green was most common. So you would actually be able to display graphics using these Hercules cards in shades of green, where generally on the regular monochrome video cards, like the ones that came with I don't even know if you want to call them video cards. I guess technically they do display video to the monitor, but they only worked with kind of like different characters and text. So they couldn't display graphics at all, which these cards can, and they can also display regular text and characters. So these were pretty cool back in the day. Now, I believe you have to have games that support Hercules mode, but these will also emulate CGA. So if you have a game that is a CGA game and it doesn't necessarily have a Hercules mode, I believe there's a chance that these can emulate the CGA, and it will still display. It won't be as sharp or as nice looking, but it still should work. Although from what I've seen, compatibility is kind of iffy, and some of those games like Lemmings, I believe you need a special program running to allow that CGA emulation to take place. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm kind of really eager to try these cards out. I hope they work for his sake, because I'm sure he wants them to be functional. I'm not sure where he got them. I'll have to ask. Maybe he picked them up in a local lot or something. But yeah, pretty cool. So we're going to test these guys out and try some games on them, see how they work. So I just want to take a closer look at these cards real quick. This one branded Hercules right here, and it looks like this is the 1984 revision of this card. Lots of chips. I don't know what any of them do, although I'm sure some of them hold like the character set and RAM and memory, those kind of things. I'm not sure. We got a connector there. We've got your output there for the video, and I believe that's the printer port. Because the original IBM monochrome card, I believe, also had a printer port with it, so this kind of is the same deal. And I remember ISA's expansion slots in those days were a bit of a premium, so it was great to have cards that did multiple things. Now, this one right here, we had Hercules again, much more prominent. This is a 1988 revision, so what, 4 years later? I don't know if there's any difference between this later card and this earlier card. I would assume there's no difference, although I do see chips are a little different. We have a big Hercules chip here, and I don't see that chip. No, I don't see any chip like that on this one here. So I don't know. Maybe it's just I'd say maybe the newer one's a little bit more integrated than the old one. There's a little bit less chips on this card. But again, I don't know if the newer one is better or worse quality or compatibility, or I have no idea what the difference is. Connections look the same. Okay, so after some little bit further research, this newer card from '88, Hercules card, with the Hercules chip here, I think this is what would be referred to as like a Hercules graphics card plus, and it is a slight revision. The original card here seems to be pretty much off-the-shelf parts, but this one, like I said, they had this specialized chip here. I think it's basically the same thing, except this card, the plus part, it means that it supports RAM fonts. Really no idea what that means. I didn't look into it too much, but I don't think it has anything to do with gaming. I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments if that affects things game-wise, or just let me know exactly what RAM fonts does. My guess is like you can upload your own fonts maybe to it. I don't know. It says it's MDA compatible. Again, I'm not 100% sure what it does, but I don't really think it has much of a practical effect for gaming. If you want to game on one of these cards, I don't think it matters if you want the newer Plus or the older one. But let me know in the comments if I'm wrong on that. So this is the kind of monitor you need if you're running a Hercules card, MDA monochrome monitor. This is the IBM 5151 monochrome monitor. It came with the original IBM PC. It is a green phosphor MDA monochrome monitor. It's actually the only monochrome monitor I have with me at the moment to test these cards. So yeah, so if you're trying to hook up a Hercules card to like an EGA or a CGA monitor even, I believe you might even damage those monitors. There's the possibility anyway, so just make sure if you're using a Hercules card, make sure you're using a MDA monitor like the 5151. Alright, so we're testing the earlier Hercules card first. The IBM monitor here is the only monochrome monitor I have, so we're going to have to go with that. And I'm using the Turbo 55, the VTI Turbo 55. It's a 12 megahertz 286. It's just what I have around. This drive is kind of janky right now. I'm doing some things with drives and stuff, so this is the drive I have in there now that we're going to use. So yeah, we're going to power it up and test it and see if that Hercules card works. Alright, so good news, it looks like it's working. Powered up the computer. Of course, we're getting some errors because it's not set up, but we have yeah, it looks like it's working there. Alright, so I did a quick test of the first Hercules card, and it worked fine. So now I'm going to put in this later model Hercules card from '88, and then we'll see if that works. And if this works, we'll check out some games on this card. Perfect. Looks good. And it should go right into DOS. Alright, looking good. So the first game we're going to look at is Vette. And that's interesting because it actually has two Hercules modes. It has a regular Hercules mode, and then it also has a Hercules mode with reverse color. So that's interesting that you have a little bit of choice here with this game. And I just picked the regular mode there. And there we go. Now it's a little bit small. It's not actually filling up the whole screen. It's almost like in a little window there. I don't know if that's normal or not, but looks really good, perfectly playable. Alright, let me try playing this here for a moment. I didn't do too good at this game last time, so we'll pick trainee this time. Yeah, that's spinning a lot slower. I think the last time I played this game it was on the 20 megahertz 286. So this is a 12 megahertz 286, and it looks like it's spinning like slower this time. It actually looks pretty normal there, so alright, let's continue on. Alright, here we go. So yeah, not super exciting here. Whoa, okay. Yeah, I'm not very good at this game. It's a little bit, I mean, it looks nice and sharp. It's a little bit hard on this screen. It's a little bit hard to play on this screen because the persistence of the monitor, it's the blurring and stuff, it kind of gets in the way sometimes. Okay, let's try this. Let's try this again. Yeah, it does tend to blend here. I wonder how it looks like with the reversed colors. I think we'll try that in a minute. Yeah, I mean it looks good. I mean it's great that these cards give the option to play on these kind of monochrome monitors, but it is a little bit it's a little rough on the eyes, to be honest. I'm having a little bit of hard time. Like I said, especially with the persistence and the blurring. Yeah, it's yeah, especially at these high speeds, it's actually a little bit trippy. Well, there we go in the water. Okay, so I'm gonna restart this. I'm just curious what the reverse colors look like, or if that looks any better with this game. And here it is with the reversed colors option selected. So yeah, I can already see a difference. I think the clouds and stuff are different. They were lighter before and now they're dark. I think I kind of like the normal way. I'm not sure I like this reverse color scheme, but we'll see. I'll get into the game, see if I like it any better. Yeah, it just, like, the text seems easier to read, a little sharper, but like the car blends more in. It's harder to see. So it looks like this mode, at least to my eyes, it kind of looks like this mode, maybe the text is a little sharper, but the objects kind of meld into the background a little bit more. Let me get into the game here. Yeah, way too green, too much green in this mode. Everything just blends together way too much. So yeah, definitely go with the standard mode for Vette. But, I mean, it's neat that the option's there, I suppose. Alright, so let's try some Leisure Suit Larry. That should work. I believe it does have a Hercules mode. So let's see if it runs. It's loading. Yep, and there it is. Now no sound because my speaker, let me fiddle, I have it open here, let me see if I fiddle with the wire. Nope. Well, that stinks. Yeah, the speaker's definitely not working anymore. It used to kind of work if you fiddle with it, but it looks like it's completely done now. That stinks. Here we are. Again, looks pretty, it's playable. Obviously, if this was all I had back in the 80s, I would have been happy to be able to play the games, but a lot of things just blend in. Like the text looks great up here, but it's kind of hard to see them. But I mean, I guess that's what you get when you have just shades of the same color. But I mean, it works. So this keyboard I'm using doesn't quite register. Yeah. Open door. Oops. D-O-O-R. What's... yeah, okay. We'll get back to you once I'm inside. And here we are in lefties. Took me way longer than it needed to. And, yep. It's working just fine in all its green goodness. Okay, I'm trying to see what other games I have sitting around to try out. I have Striker, like a helicopter game. I know it's like a side-scrolling helicopter game. I know that's CGA, but it's gonna run fast. just because I know that's really a game that's meant for a 8088. So I think it will work, but it's just going to be fast. But let's give it a try. If it Striker requires a color graphics adapter. If you only have a monochrome adapter, please reset your computer. So I guess it won't work, and it won't even emulate the CGA mode. So Striker apparently doesn't work. Maybe that program would get it to work, but I can't even. I was gonna say it won't even let me escape. It wants me to reset the entire computer. So yay. Okay, so here's a fun one. This is a weird, sort of quirky RPG called Escape from Hell. Now, I also want to point out, if you're not sure if a game does support Hercules mode, there's a really great list online, Moby's Games, and they have a list of all the games that officially support Hercules mode. Like I said, you can get monochrome text adapters not supported. Huh. But the weird thing is, that list that I was just talking about said it does support it, so that's a little confusing. Okay, well, maybe the list isn't perfect. Okay, I'm not going to go through the trouble of getting that little CGA emulation program to see if that works. It's just not worth my time right now, but if you're interested in that for certain games that just don't work out the box, that might be an option for you. But man, that list on Moby Games I was just talking about definitely had Escape from Hell on it. So maybe that includes games that will work with the program. So that sucks. So if you are interested in one of these CGA emulation programs, there's a good webpage called like DOS Days, and you just put in DOS Days CGA emulation, and there's a couple of these programs, and the guy went through and tested them, and he has like a little rating system for compatibility and stuff. So give that page a look if you're interested in these programs. Like games like Lemmings, it won't work out of the box with a Hercules card, but if you have one of these programs running in DOS in the background, it will work. So check out this page if you want to learn more about these old programs and maybe see which one is the best. And I just want to wrap it up here with Prince of Persia. Now this game does work. Again, it's really squished here. There must be something going on. There's a reason that it's all squished. It looks nice. It's just kind of squished. So, again, makes me wonder. Maybe I might have to set it to a certain mode to fix that. And we get a system error when it tries to load up Prince of Persia past that initial screen. So, striking out here, not getting very lucky. I'm pretty sure this game does work with the Hercules card. I'm pretty sure. So there's probably maybe some setting or something that I've got that's just not correct. I'm not 100% sure. So again, I don't like how the image on all these games is kind of cropped and squished. So I wonder if there's something going on there. I don't think there's any. I don't have any switches on my motherboard, and I don't have any switches on the Hercules card. So maybe a mode command or something. Alright, let's try chess, because chess definitely has a Hercules graphics mode. And I just hit D for demo, and it's kind of playing itself, which is interesting. I wonder who will win. And if you're wondering which side wins, it is black.
Always bet on black.
And while we're looking at Hercules cards, I do have a card that is a Hercules clone, I suppose, and that's this guy here. This is from a company, I'm not able to, Tamarack. This card uses the TD310 chip, and there were a number of Hercules compatible cards, and this is one of them. I've never tested this card, but it should be pretty much 100% Hercules graphics compatible. It's pretty much the same thing. It has a parallel port and then your MDA port right there for an MDA monitor. you can see it's much shorter than the Hercules cards. Let me get one to compare. Okay, so here's a comparison with a Hercules card right here. You can see this card is much smaller. Now, the year on this one is 84. The later one I have from, what, 87 or 88, it's pretty much the same size. I don't have a date on this one here, but as you can see, it is significantly smaller. So this should operate exactly the same way, but I'm going to test it out just to see if it works. Alright, now I don't know if you can see it, but there is that Hercules clone card, I guess. And as you can see here, it is displaying. Alright, and now for our second card, which I'm really kind of excited to check this card out, although it doesn't really do anything spectacular. But this is the Plantronics ColorPlus. Yeah, ColorPlus card. I have never seen one of these. I don't know how rare they are, but I assume they're pretty rare. Now this is basically just the CGA card, although it does have a special mode, Plantronics color mode, which you may have heard of, because some of the later CGA cards like the ATI Small Wonder, and I believe the EGA 800 and 800 Plus did support that mode. But basically what it was, so standard CGA did 320 by 200 in 4 colors, or 620 by 200 resolution in 2 colors. Now, the Plantronics mode that these Color Pluses could do was a little bit different. It could do those modes just fine, but it could also do 320 by 216 colors, which is kind of like EGA, a low resolution EGA look, I suppose. And it also did 640 by 204 colors. So it was kind of like, it wasn't quite EGA, but it was a step up from CGA. The thing is, virtually nothing supported those modes. I don't think any games did at the time, and like a handful of maybe like different like productivity programs. I know there was a couple that supported it, but there was really no games that supported it. Now, lately I think 8-Bit Guy, his game that he put out, what, Planet X3, I think it actually supports the Plantronics mode. And when we get this thing installed, we'll test that out and see it. So that's pretty neat. Like I said, I've never seen one of these before. They're pretty neat. I'm assuming they're pretty rare. I haven't really taken the time to look them up on eBay or anything, see what they go for. But it's cool we get to test it. But really, like functionally in a system, it's really just a slightly improved CGA card. So yeah, but it is pretty cool. So let's take a closer look at it here. Okay, so I don't know if you guys noticed from the angle before, but the weird thing about this card is it is actually 2 cards. It's like a dual card, and it's connected with this connector right here. So, oh, and there's one right there too. So, yeah, really weird. I think one of these cards is like the CGA registers, the CGA stuff, and then the other card might be like the Plantronics stuff. I'm not sure, but it's a big old card. It's long and it's 2 cards. It's just weird. There's these connectors on the back. I have no clue. They look like power connectors. No clue. I'm guessing that's memory right there. No idea what these chips do. I'm not going to take the cards apart to look at them. It's not my card. Maybe if these posts weren't there that make it a little difficult, I might do it, but I'm not going to risk damaging it by separating it. Although I'm sure I wouldn't. I'm pretty sure it'd be fine. I don't want to risk it, being it's not my card, and I have no idea what these are worth. They're, again, standard CGA connector, and there's our printer parallel port. Now, actually, now that I think about it, what these might be, I think this has a connector for composite and one for a light pen. So I think you can connect like a breakout cable with like composite. It's kind of like some of the ATI Small Wonders have. You can connect that in a light pen on there. I think that's what those are, now that I think about it. So, yeah, pretty cool, capable card. I don't know. We'll put it in, test out. Hopefully it's working. It looks in pretty decent shape. I like the color. I like this weird sort of teal color for a card. That's really neat, really cool. I don't like that that's uncovered. I think these are like the kind of chips where if you expose this part to erase them, if it's exposed to UV light. Again, I'm not really a technical wizard when it comes to that stuff, so I don't know if that was supposed to be covered or not. I guess we'll see. Let's see what we have here. PC Plus, ColorPlus, upper. This is the upper board. Component side, just a bunch of stuff there. So, yeah, pretty cool. Plantronics, Frederick Electronics. Neat. So we'll put this guy in and we'll see if it works. So unfortunately, I'm not getting anything from the Plantronics or Plantronics or however you pronounce it card. I'm using a Tandy CGA monitor, which should work with that card. I mean, it basically should function like a CGA card. The special high-res modes are more like a kind of a superset of CGA, and obviously this monitor can handle like Tandy video mode and things like that. So this card shouldn't have any issue with this. There's no like switches or anything on here. I put in like VGA cards, and this thing displays and works fine. It was giving me. I did try this a little earlier. Let me see if I can. Sometimes. Now this is my second attempt to get this to work. On my first attempt it was just a black screen, and eventually it just turned blue. It was like a bright blue screen. So I'm not sure why it did that. So I don't know if it's an issue with this. I don't think it's an issue with the computer. I don't know. Maybe it's, unfortunately, maybe it's the card. There's something wrong with it, but it's not displaying to this monitor. So that is a big bummer. I really wanted to test this card, even though there's really only one game that we could test that works with the Plantronics card, which is Planet X3. Now that's a game that actually came out recently from a YouTuber, 8-Bit guy. He put out a game that had a lot of, like, you know, it was meant for kind of an 8088, but it had a lot of interesting video modes. It's a great game for testing. I've used it as tests on the channel before. But it is actually the only known game with a Plantronics video mode. And it basically just looks like kind of like EGA or Tandy color graphics mode, except it's like slightly higher resolution. I believe some of the text is a little bit better than, say, if it was in Tandy graphics mode. So, you know, I was kind of excited to try this thing out, but yeah, unfortunately, it does not appear to be working. So unfortunately, after testing this thing out on 3 different computers and 2 different CGA monitors, this is the best result I could get. This was on a different CGA monitor, a different computer, and obviously that's not correct. My instincts and my best bet tells me that it could be like a RAM issue, maybe. I tried making sure all the RAM was seated correctly, but that didn't really help the issue. So I suspect it might be a RAM issue, and I'm going to let the owner know that it might be a RAM issue. I don't know. If any of you guys know what could be going on here, just let us know in the comments. But unfortunately, I could not get the card to work, so unfortunately, we were not able to check out Plantronics mode. Okay, so what are my opinions of these cards? We'll start with the Hercules card here. So, yeah, these are pretty cool back in the day. I could see in the 80s how these things could be super useful, especially, you know, if you just had your PC at home, maybe you were using it for a while for business, you just had a basic monochrome monitor, you're on a budget. I mean, CGA cards and color monitors, they're pretty expensive back then. So, you know, a lot of people probably just had monochrome monitors, MDA monitors, and this would be really useful because it would let you play a lot of games in monochrome, but games that otherwise you wouldn't have been able to play at all. So that's pretty cool. As for using it today, though, as a retro gamer, I mean, it's kind of a novelty. You know, they're getting harder to find, and they actually are getting more expensive. So it's not all that difficult to get. You know, it's probably more difficult to get and more expensive to get actually like a Hercules card than it is to get like a CGA card and a CGA monitor. And also there are better options. There's, you know, the ATI Small Wonder is a CGA color card that actually does support Hercules mode. There's other cards you can get for vintage hardware that supports Hercules mode if you really want to play games on an MDA monitor. You also have options like this guy, which is a like a third-party sort of Hercules compatible Hercules card. It's much shorter. You can probably find these. I didn't look up what the prices for these are, but you know, I'm sure they're probably cheaper than an actual Hercules card because you know, an actual Hercules card commands a premium price because you're dealing with collectors and whatnot. So it's a cool thing, but I don't know. I don't know if you're a modern gamer that likes to play on original hardware is going to find too much use for this kind of thing. You're probably going to be using like a CGA monitor or even like, you know, a VGA card in an old machine, and just using a VGA monitor and emulating these modes, possibly. There's just better options. Like I said, ATI Small Wonder, it does Hercules mode and other modes, as well as something like the EGA 800 card does EGA and Hercules mode. So cool, but expensive. Probably just if you're collecting, there's cheaper options. As for the Plantronics card, really cool, but again, essentially this is just a CGA card with a superset of CGA that no games except recently one game supports. So yeah, the Plantronics mode, you're really never going to use it unless you're playing Planet X3 and you're using it as a novelty. Technically, I guess it is a little bit better than like Tandy mode and CGA, but again, you can play that game in like VGA and EGA or whatnot. It's just, like I said, there's one game that supports the mode. I have no idea. I've never seen one of these before. I have no idea what they sell for. This is really just a collector's piece. It's not. It's cool. It's got a cool color. It's a cool rare card, but I mean, even for collectors, I don't know if you'd go out of your way for one of these things. It's cool, but just get an ATI Small Wonder card. It does basically what these both do, and in a much smaller package. And they're still. I think those cards are getting kind of expensive, but I bet you anything one of those cards is cheaper than either one of the, like both of these combined for sure, and probably cheaper than either one of these on its own. So yeah, I mean, cool cards, but you know, if you just want a game, there's cheaper alternatives. But yeah, I'm glad we got to take a look at these. I'll be giving these back tomorrow to the owner with my report on them. So yeah, thank you for watching. You got more videos coming in the future, and if you got any comments on these cards, or if you had one of these cards when you were, or if you had one of these cards back in the day, let us know. I always like to hear your stories, and see you in the next video, guys.